Susan's voice dropped, soft and ingratiating. Bethany, the compatibility results came back. You're a match with your sister. You can save her. I stared at the spread of shellfish on the table. The smell alone was making my throat itch. Suddenly, I lifted my eyes to the three people standing before me. Does anyone here remember that I have a severe seafood allergy? Clatter. Scott hurled his silverware across the table. The metal fork struck me in the face, stinging sharply. His face was flushed, twisted in disgust. Bethany, Brittany is on her deathbed, and you're sitting there bitching about an allergy? Susan let out a sob, burying her face in her hand. You have to save her. Don't forget, Winston paid for your college. He paid your rent. You need to show some gratitude. Outside, the sky tore open. Rain hammered against the windows, dark and violent. Susan dropped to her knees again. Scott glared at me with pure hatred. Winston, my stepfather, looked at me with desperate, pleading eyes. I forced a smile. It felt tight on my face. Mom, I said, my voice quiet. If I give her my kidney, can we make a deal? Will you stop making me give her my life? Will this be the last thing I have to sacrifice for her? Susan hesitated for a split second. Then she nodded frantically, her head bobbing like a puppet's. I promise. I promise. Okay, I whispered. I'll do it. The tension in the room snapped. Three sighs of relief echoed in the dining room. Boom. A crack of thunder shook the floorboards. Susan scrambled to her feet, panic widening her eyes. Brittany is terrified of thunder. She can't be alone right now. I have to go to the hospital. In seconds, they were gone. I was left alone in the empty house, sitting in front of a table full of food that could kill me. I sat there in the silence, and a memory surfaced. My biological father, before the cancer took him. Back when Mom loved me. Back when my brother protected me. Back when I was the center of their world. When did the axis shift? Maybe 20 years ago. After Dad died, Mom took Scott and me and married Winston. Winston was kind, wealthy, and he had a daughter, Brittany. She was bubbly, charming, and bright. I was the grieving, sullen kid whose quality of life had plummeted after Dad died. I wasn't the likable one. Watching them, Scott, Mom, Winston, and Brittany, they looked like a perfect family of four. I was just the glitch in the portrait. If I liked a toy and Brittany wanted it, Mom gave it to her. If I wanted attention, I had to wait until Brittany was done. Even Scott. Day by day, I watched my own brother defect. He started favoring the stepsister who shared zero blood with him over me. I remembered walking behind them after school. Brittany would hop onto the back of Scott's bike, wrapping her arms around his waist, laughing. They would ride off, leaving me to walk home alone, staring at their retreating backs. I remembered the day she cornered me. Bethany, she'd said, her smile innocent and cruel. Your mom and your brother, they're mine now. You're just extra space. Tears had welled up in my eyes. But before they could fall, she had already spun around, running into Susan's arms, cuddling her, then turning back to shoot me a triumphant smirk over Mom's shoulder. Chapter 3. The memory faded, dumping me back into the cold reality of my bedroom. I was lying on the tulle of my wedding dress. A sudden, jagged spike of pain ripped through me. It wasn't just an ache, it was a drill boring into my marrow. My vision blurred. Hot, angry tears spilled over, scalding my cheeks. I curled into a tight ball on the gown I'd spent months choosing, clutching the fabric until my knuckles turned white. Whimpering, I sounded like an abandoned puppy. Morning brought a cold clarity. I packed a bag and drove to the apartment Seth and I shared. I stared at his contact on my phone. My thumb hovered, then tapped. Seth, we need to talk. The reply was instantaneous. No text, just a photo. It was a selfie. Seth and Brittany. He was grinning, a loose, boyish grin I hadn't seen since our freshman year of college. His brow was smooth, his eyes crinkled at the corners. He looked light, unburdened. My stomach dropped. Seth didn't send this. She did. I dialed Susan. She picked up on the second ring, her voice hushed and impatient. Bethany, not now. Seth is sitting with Brittany. She's finally stable. I have to go. I'm bringing her some soup. Click. I tossed the phone onto the couch cushion and stared at the floor. A soft whine. Cooper. My golden retriever hopped onto the sofa, his nose working overtime, sniffing at my shirt. He laid his heavy head on my lap, letting out a long, depressed sigh. Animals know. He could smell the sickness rotting me from the inside out. I buried my fingers in his fur, scratching behind his ears. Cooper, baby. Mommy has to go handle something. I'll be back for you. I drove to the hospital. The scene inside room 304 was domestic bliss. Winston and Susan were hovering near the bedside, slicing apples like doting servants. On the bed, Brittany was flanked by Scott and Seth. They were glued to a Nintendo Switch, laughing, shouting instructions, helping her rank up. I swallowed the bile rising in my throat and pushed the door open. The laughter died. Brittany's face transformed instantly. The joy evaporated, replaced by a fragile, trembling mass. She grabbed Seth's arm, clinging to him like a lifeline. Her eyes welled up on cue. Bethany, please, she whispered, her voice trembling. Can I just borrow Seth? Can you let me have him? Just for a little while. Seth jerked back, shaking off her hand. He stood up, looking cornered. Bethany, I was planning to come home soon. Winston chuckled nervously, stepping between us to play the peacemaker. Now, Bethany, Brittany isn't recovered yet. Once she's better, we'll all be there for your big day. Just give it time. Suddenly, Brittany let out a piercing shriek. She grabbed her head, rocking back and forth, hyperventilating. Scott was on her in a second. He wrapped his arms around her, rocking her, his voice a low, soothing mantra. Shoo, Britt. It's okay. I'm here. Scott's here. You're safe. Susan shoved me toward the door. Hard. What are you doing here? She hissed, her face inches from mine. You know you trigger her. Do you want to kill her? I planted my feet, locking eyes with her. Mom, do you even remember that I am your biological daughter? For a second, she froze. A flicker of something, shame, passed through her eyes. Then the ice returned. She pushed me again. Bethany, stop being so dramatic. You went to college. You got your master's. Who paid for that? Winston did. Stop playing the victim and learn some gratitude.